And we're back. What a ridiculous way to open. Anyways, I thought I'd open with something before we get into my guest. I wanted to tell you thank you for following us as we lose in the next couple weeks. We're going to take everything off Spotify and that and just stick with the video format because my guests are too good looking to not see in real life. My apology for myself. But speaking of guests, I want to share something with you as a show and tell in front of Mick. A lot of people try to give us we have black sheep swag, and a lot of people try to give us stuff. And so I'm going to show you some examples. And this is important. Here's why for you, because I called you. I wrote you this when I said, "What are you wearing?"
I said nothing.
Yeah,
he didn't like that idea.
Yeah. That's not okay. Anyway, so I wanted to show you some stuff to introduce because I mean we have our Black Sheep Thinking T-shirts. We don't sell those anymore. But here's something somebody got me: Black Sheep Thinking socks. It's kind of cool.
Shut the front door.
Yeah,
that's so cute.
That's cute, right?
Yeah, I love
people do stuff like it's crazy. There's one thing, and then someone went on vacation and got me that. A little cute.
So cute.
Yeah, it's adorable. And then thank you, Katie. I should probably thank everybody. Thank you, Bruce, for my dope toque, and Christine. That's
love.
I found a black sheep toque. Yeah, that's neat.
Cute.
You see that one? Yeah. What else do I got? My sister got me this like engraving.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, it's neat. I keep it. I'm getting somewhere. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Here's one more. This is kind of. I hope it's okay. Yeah. This one's. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I love that one.
This is where it says like
that's
black,
my favorite.
and then. Wait, did I do it right? Yeah. So there. Wait, I gotta see what I'm doing. There's black, and then turns into the word sheep. That's cool, right? Yeah. And so the reason why is because when I was looking what I was going to wear this morning, someone also got me something. A guy named Mike. I'm going to show you. Okay. So a friend named Mike McKay got this for me, and I never had a chance to wear it.
This is your perfect opportunity. It's right on your boob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Black sheep boobing. So here we go. My.
Oh, that looks great. It's your color. Brings out your eyes.
So does a fork. Yeah. All right. So, and we're back a second time. Now that I have my proper wardrobe on. How do I look? And Joe's giving me the thumbs up. Anyways, I feel like I want to sit.
I know. I feel like I need to sit like this.
Like this. Okay. Let's get comfy.
Yeah, this is great.
All right. So, today I get to introduce our special guest, Mikhala Kotek, who is not only has a cool name, but is a wonderful human that came into my life years ago. She's an incredible mom, an artist, a photographer, dancer, great sense of humor, good person, and now building her life coach business, Silly Goose Coaching, which that's I love. Yeah, I love it. So please welcome Mikhala, which I'm going to call Mick, by the way, because that's what
Mick.
We call her. Yeah,
yeah.
Hi,
Most
Mick.
people call me Mick.
Yeah.
My name is Mick. I am an awesome mom, very funny, yes, wonderful dancer.
Yeah, you can check out our IG. Everybody's dancing these days on IG, except for dancing.
Me. Got to dance on IG.
Yeah.
I have a photography business. It's my fun business. It's my silly business. It's just where I express myself and connect with people, and then
and you're great at it. You have a great eye.
Yeah. And then coaching is something that I always wanted to do. I think well over a decade now. I think as a child I aspired to be a therapist. I think when I was 12 I thought I'd be a therapist,
and then you realized you were actually intelligent.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Therapists,
we love you. You're doing great.
Yep. Keep up the Freudian work.
Anyways, and then life just sort of got in the way, and like I wasn't good at school, and unfortunately, to get a job like therapist, you need to be good at school, and I didn't like school, so pushed that to the wayside and did all of my artsy stuff, became a dancer, dance teacher, photographer, sales associate, all of those little extra jobs you have to do to keep up with those artsy jobs so that you can actually pay the bills,
Right.
Yeah. And then I came to the realization that I wanted to be a life coach by the time I was about 20. But I just sort of casted it to the side because I was like, how could I ever? You know what I mean?
Yeah, why me?
So then life rattled me around.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, well, if you want to teach people, here's some lessons. And so that's kind of.
So where do you to let them know a little bit more about who you are, because you have such an immense amount of wisdom for a young woman, and where do you pull your wisdom from? I mean, obviously you have kids. How old are they again?
My kiddos are
they're so small but growing
2,
so quick.
4, and 5. Yeah. 2, 4, and
so
5.
you raise them kind of with your hair still
I try my best.
Because they're very energetic kids.
They're energetic.
And they're free spirits.
They're intelligent.
Yes, they are.
And raising intelligent children is taxing. They question me constantly. They hold me accountable, especially Z, my daughter. My oldest.
Yeah, I was just going to say, she's kind of like the pack leader.
Oh my gosh. And she's like the epitome of older sister.
Yeah.
She they were on all 3 of them were on a round of penicillin. And one night I was so exhausted because obviously when you have 3 kids on penicillin, they're tired and sick and you're dealing with that. And then I was also ill. And end of the day comes around and she's like, hey mom, aren't we supposed to take our medicine? I'm like, this is you to a T constantly. Like, yeah, we are supposed to take our medicine.
Holding you accountable.
Way past the time we were supposed to take our medicine. She's like, mom.
Who's parenting?
Yeah, literally. But yeah, no, they definitely.
Yeah, they're great kids.
Yeah. And they're the source of all of my inspiration to actually create something. I think that I always had wisdom. I lacked the desire to get after life until I had kids. And I saw that there was something worth living for and creating for. And that's where they play the largest role. And yeah, they're the best.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I love how every parent has that story where they're like, man, like the kid was up until 4 a.m. crying because they're sick and they stuck like a grilled cheese sandwich in my, video game system. Or back then it was like a DVD player.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they just complain for like 10 minutes and they go, but it's the best.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Seriously.
It's hard. Yeah. But only parents really
parents
understand that.
Yeah.
It's the best job.
I feel like you can also, I see a lot of business owners that will like complain and rap on about it, but then they're like, but it's the best. And I feel like
that's true.
A lot of times I equate a lot of at least good business owners and a lot of the best business owners that I know, when they talk about their business, it is sort of like being a parent as well.
Yeah, I saw a meme one time. It was like, fuck. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, that's what it's like to be a business owner.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It really, but yeah, I feel the same way. It's like the best. And
it
the
is
worst
the best.
and the best.
Yeah.
It is.
Because it's a big risk and it gives a lot of reward.
Yeah, I think I heard a quote that said either you build your own dreams or someone pays you to build theirs. And that was enough to be like, one way or another, there's a risk. And if you're going to have a gun pointed at your head, you might as well be one holding the handle rather than like an employer. So
true.
And when you really know who you are. But I think a lot of people face that. Like they face the fear of like, what if it doesn't work? And I mean, I was there when I first started. I was like, what if nobody likes me?
Yeah.
It's like,
seriously.
and that's true still, but
I just keep going anyway.
Yeah. Who cares? I'll find somebody eventually that likes me.
At least one will.
Yeah. My mom says I'm good looking. And so
my mom says I have a good personality.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's bad.
She said I have a face for radio.
She's so kind.
Yeah, she loves me. No, but like seriously, like that's one of those things that you face when you're looking. And you said earlier, like why me?
Yeah.
Like how can I help somebody? And so that kind of leads into our time together. I mean, we've kind of spent some time early and we've spent some time lately as you've been constructing it. And I've really enjoyed it. I always enjoy working with you. And what is it? So if you wanted to share like from back then, you were working with some coaches. You were a lot of people come different ways. You had some influences and you weren't just like, help, I need somebody. You were just,
I think I still was.
Yeah, maybe. But you came in with some stuff. So I love for you to share. I always love when you share your experience of that journey too, but the wisdom that came, because you talked about life a little bit and your kids and, all the stuff you've been through in your life with, we'll get into other stuff in that, but how do we, how do we meet / where were you on your journey of coaching?
Yeah. I was in the midst of a very challenging relationship. And I, at the time, was convinced that I was the problem, or at least I had come to the point of there is a problem and I'm going to find out if it's me. And
like that.
Yeah. And so that's when I started hiring life coaches. It was like New Year's Day. I started reading The Untethered Soul. And then
great book.
And
singer,
I love that book. But as I was reading that book, hop on Instagram one day and a life coach pops up first real life coach that I had seen.
Right.
And I liked what she was saying because she aligned with a lot of like the things that I was experiencing in life. And so I reached out to her. I started working with her after about a week or two of following her, and I worked with her. And she was wonderful. We still have a good relationship, actually. Like, I would consider us to be sort of distant friends at this point.
Nice.
Yeah, and she's wonderful. She's on her own journey with coaching, and I love and respect that.
You can plug her if you want.
Yeah, her name is Kelsey. I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Joe, we're going to edit that out. All right, great. Give us a 3, 2, 1. All right.
Yeah, no, she's wonderful. Anyways, what she was teaching, it got me to a certain point, and then I met a wall, and it was like I couldn't grow further.
Yeah.
And that was fine because it did get me to a place where I was a little bit more connected with myself. It was what it was.
Yeah.
And then through her, actually, I met my next life coach, and that was when I started doing one-on-one coaching. The first was a group program.
Okay.
Second,
I remember that,
yeah. And I'm very competitive, so it was really like a one-on-one program with a bunch of other ladies.
Yeah. You had an arena of witnesses. Yeah, I've had people use my group like that.
Yeah.
I love it.
That was definitely me. I'm gonna get the most bang from my book. Anyways.
I think everyone should approach group that way because if it's like that, the dynamic is much more rather than people sitting there hoping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that personality, but
I think that's why they get into the group.
Yeah, it's
There's
fun.
like
Some people want to
types.
watch. Some people want to watch it and they learn from that. We always say in groups, when one person's working, we're all working. So the fact you're doing the work, I'm sure they got a lot of it. But like the worst is if there's a group of people and you're like, just me. I'm just going to do the talking. It's like a lecture. You don't want that. So anyways, carry on.
So that was what that was like.
That's for you people out there that are joining groups.
Learn.
Yeah. Participate. Stamp.
Get a gold star. Yeah. Anyways, so then I met my next life coach through that life coach. Yeah. She wasn't originally a coach. She was an astrologer. So she would do astrology readings. And at the time, I was like really getting into spirituality and connecting with my spiritual side, buying all the rocks and the Palo Santo, and you know how it goes.
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, I mean, it's wonderful.
It's so cute. Yeah. It's
rocks,
so
rocks.
Gotta have the rocks.
Rocks rock.
They do rock.
My grandfather was a geologist.
I keep my rocks on me still. Like I still respect the rock.
Pocket full of rocks.
Yeah. Some people keep sunshine in their pockets.
I keep
rocks.
Not only do they have spiritual energy, but you can use them as a weapon if you're in a weird situation.
I only bring around the pointy ones.
Pointy rocks. That's funny.
So the next life coach I started working with, again, she was pretty wonderful. She lacked her own depth, so she couldn't meet me to the depth that I think I needed. I think it was just a lot of her not seeing herself completely. And so she offered me, again, very like surface level, got me to a point, but then hit a wall. Mm-hmm. And it was actually like, I think halfway through my second month was when I started working with you.
Right. I
with
remember
her.
now.
Yeah. And then when I told her, this is actually funny, and I don't know if I updated you on what happened with her.
Tell me this. Tell me what the breakup story of your coach is.
She was pretty upset about it. Oh. So at the time, there was this app, I can't even remember what it's called, but she would hold her coaching clients in this app where she would put resources, all this stuff into the app. It's a really cool app. If I can find it, I'd love to use it one day, but I don't remember what it's called. But she used to use it, and it would have like all the calls that we did recorded on there.
Oh, that's magic.
Everything. Yeah, it was wonderful. And when I told her halfway through that I didn't want to work with her anymore, that I was moving on, she got really upset. She said we signed a contract. She took everything away from me, completely cut me off. Not only did all of that happen though, so she stopped posting on Instagram. She closed her practice entirely. I don't know what happened, but it was a big shutdown for her. I think now she went on traveling. She moved to BC from Mexico. She ended up getting a job, and that's that. I don't know where she's at now, but there was
that's interesting.
a big unfolding after I left.
Yeah, I find a lot of coaches, that's what the people I'm bringing in that are coaches like yourself, Hannah, these are the kind of people that I go to. Like I've gone to you for stuff, and like I notice a lot of coaches out there, some of them are, there's a thing called white knight syndrome where they try to save somebody to feel better about themselves. And I think a lot of coaches have good intent. They get some understanding based off their own journey, and they're like, yeah, this feels good. And it's like, yeah. But not recognizing they can only take their clients as far as they're willing to go.
Yeah.
And if there's still things getting in the way, that there's work to do too. And that's one thing we honor about our journeys is that like, we've done a lot of, I would love to do a show, and we're working on this conversation where people can see everything I've gone through to get where I am outside of just, people are like, oh, he has a degree. It's like, you realize I've also been to men's retreats and ran naked in the woods. And like,
I did that without the men's retreat.
It's like, it's called Saturday. And so, we've all the training, all the, front rows at conferences, like anything we can do to get closer until we keep testing what we understand, which is one thing. It's like, we don't make assumptions like, oh, we found it.
Yes.
I think we have found something very impactful, but I'm not going to be so closed-minded to think we can't keep looking and be honest with, a really unbiased minded look is best, and be like, is this going to be beneficial?
Yeah.
Which is why I think we bring in a lot of tools and things and change things that are helpful. So
the understanding that we have doesn't change the fact that tools help and work, right?
My coach would say, when we talk to Andrew McKee, he'd say there's no greater understanding than the different people. The biggest misunderstanding is that people forget who they are. I'm going to mess it up. They forget who they are.
Who cares? It's not that big of a deal.
And action. The biggest misunderstanding is forgetting who we are for who we think we are. Yeah. And putting on that front. And I think most things are cured in the work we do from just that simple cleanup. Yeah. I mean, it sounds simple, but it takes people time to wrap their head around getting rid of.
Couldn't be me.
I'm not projecting. Could it be everybody? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I love.
And so then we move into, I'm really sorry for that coach. If she's out there and listens to this, come find me. I want to help you reopen your practice.
She's wonderful. Yeah. Like, she really was such a light. I don't want her to think that.
I don't want people to quit.
I would never want that.
Yeah, I'm glad there's people helping. I just want to make sure the coaches know they got work to do too. Yeah. And that's okay. I mean, if you don't have a coach and you're a coach, I'm not sure where you came up with your understanding outside of a book, and I can buy those too. So information is not where we're at. We're about transformation. And so let's go just to because that's a big step. Like, you had to break up with a coach, and and you're a very kind human. And so what tough. Was it about our time that you're like, I'm going to go through a conflict potentially and break a contract and lose all my recordings?
I think it was a feeling.
Yeah. A physical feeling.
It was like something where when I was with you and the way that I felt and the way that I experienced you and the way I experienced myself around you is probably a better way to say that. I felt like there was actually a shift occurring, Yes. Whereas with other coaches, it was a lot of like, let's just keep on talking about the problem and let's just keep talking about the problem.
Right.
And it didn't go further than that. And so it just helped me fix each problem as it came up instead of that overarching solution that can be applied to.
Right. That all problems change when you realize the nature of problems are created. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's amazing. Thank you for that. That's very sweet. And so we ended up working together for 3 months. Mm-hmm. And did everything land?
Yes and no.
Good. I'm glad you're honest. Because you're like an outlier. And I
know. I think that it landed as much as it possibly could, considering the fact that I had such a poor foundation myself. And so what it did was it did attach me to that part of myself that needed to be fearless and be willing to be weak. when I didn't want to feel that way.
Right. It was hard
You know
to be
what I mean?
vulnerable in that situation. Yeah, it's true.
And so it started out with a lot of vulnerability in the face of somebody who couldn't meet me with that vulnerability.
Right. Yeah.
That was challenging.
Very much.
And I think that the disconnect that occurred was that I was like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and it's still not working. And so there was still that outside story that was there.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And so...
But then time went by. Like, you worked through that.
I worked through it, and we did get to a place. This is the relationship. I got into a place with the relationship where I just kind of accepted it for what it was. And then something hit me, like a baseball bat in the night. And specifically, I was scrolling through social media, and I had seen a post, and it woke me up to something that I otherwise would not have been awake to. And I think that it was probably I needed that baseball, but like I need to do something until the death of it.
Yeah.
Like I need to literally beat it to death before I know that it's time to give up. And that's how it was with the relationship. I had to keep on meeting it to the best of my ability until I knew that it was done. And when I had the realization that I had that the relationship likely was never going to change, that was when it was like a wash of peace actually came over me. Yeah. In that moment, it was like all the pain instantly was gone. All the pressure was gone. Yeah. I felt a relief. And it was because I was out of the shackles that I had put myself in and that he had put me in. And so that knowing of who I am was required for that. I needed to know that piece that I was experiencing was good. Okay. That's the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah. I love that, share. I'm going to go a little bit deeper in it with you.
Good.
Cause it's it's a really important piece. Cause I meet obviously we work with men and women. A lot of the women I work with sometimes are in relationships and they don't know when to quit. And I have been to that too. When do you stop? And that peace part, and I was like that too when I was younger. I was like, we all become, many of us, not all, many of us become personally accountable. Like, it must be me.
Yeah.
And so you start playing what if I do this? What if I go left? What if I go up? What if I go down? And you're playing this weird game of, double dutch or whatever you want to call it, hokey pokey, whatever. It's just like you're trying to change because maybe if I'm better at this or maybe if I grow. And I just remember having a woman who contacted me. I got referred to. She was in a very abusive, controlling marriage. Mm-hmm. And she said, I don't have any money. I can't afford to hire you. And like, I always do. I always give people a couple meetings to push in my direction. And I remember talking with her and just recognizing, he was controlling the money. He was just a bad spot for her. And a lot of times, in those bad spots, we just don't want to leave because a number of reasons I see. One is, there's a background there where if I can win this man over I love, it will finally make me feel enough. Mm-hmm. And the other one is kind of that cycle of, maybe some Stockholm syndrome thing. I don't know, but it's like possibly. They're stuck in I can't leave. And I understand that. I really do. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, a lot of people in my family and friends have been in bad relationships. And so I remember saying to her, do you have any money? And she said, I can't afford to pay you. I'm like, I'm not asking for that. Do you have any money at all? And she said, yeah, I have I keep my tips with her job. And I said, okay. Take like $20-$40, go open a bank account. She's like, why? I'm like, just go open a bank account. I told you this, I think. Yeah. Go open the bank account and call me. And she says the next day or whatever. So when she opens the bank, she calls me. I go, how was it? And she was like, exhilarating. And I always thought, is it normal to feel exhilarated to open a bank account?
When I was 12, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, your first one. Yeah. And so I just brought her to that awareness of what that feeling meant to her. And where that truth is, because what I heard from even your story is like when this thing wants something, it will negotiate everything. And the moment we put down the story, relief and then clarity pours through. And then all of a sudden you're like, wisdom. Yeah. And it's kind of weird to say this, but I've said this to other people before. Thank you for going through your pain so you could bring wisdom to us, because there's a lot of women out there that need that kind of encouragement and to see that clearly. Maybe because the point of a coach in your work isn't to help make them do it. It's like by spending time with you, as they do with many of our coaches, or myself included, is like it creates time. Like, how long did it take you to work your way through that hard situation? Years?
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they could do it in months?
Yeah.
What if they can do it in a week?
Yeah.
And so they think it's, and we have tons of testimony of how possible it is to leave something that's not, we don't tell them to leave.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be like, yeah, you got to get out. Although if they're being abused, I'm a little bit more black and white. I'm like, time to go. Yeah. I just had a woman recently who was like, she was telling me about her situation, and I pulled up the cycle of abuse. Because she's like, I don't want to leave, and I love him. I'm like, I'm not telling you to leave. I just want you to understand your situation. He's like, things are good sometimes, but then like tension builds, and then there's like this event, and then he blames it on me, and then there's an apology. And I was like, and it was literally word for word, the cycle of abuse. So I was like, and we're so afraid to talk about abuse too, because like I was, because I think the only worst thing you can call a man outside of a woman abuser is a pedophile, in my opinion, or a rapist, I guess. But like the point is like, in most people in society are so afraid to talk. Men are so afraid to talk about it that they don't understand that it's like a spectrum of things. You don't have to punch your partner in the face and choke her to be abusive. Your energy can, as a man, I'm responsible for my energy, and that's one thing I always honor when I bring in women to our relationship. You've not had an easy past either. Yeah. Hannah, you've heard talk, and you're friends with her now. It's like you've heard her past. Like, I know that I'm responsible for being safe. Yeah, and that's different levels, you know. And so, anyways, where do you want to go from there? I've taken over the mic, but that energetic place that you created to understand how to make a choice for you is a lot of value. Yeah. What else? What other pieces of that as we started to work together? And no, not when we worked together. When we weren't working together, when you had your own time, it kind of settled for you. That allowed you to come to the point where you know you can create value for people.
The moment I knew I could create value for people was when I realized that everything that I've been through, which is a lot.
Yes.
Well, and this was interesting because for a while I wasn't really sitting with my whole story. I was just kind of sitting with the one story, but I wasn't sitting with everything that I had been through and everywhere that I had gone and experienced. And when I sat with that, and then I still made the choice to choose me, to make my life better, to feel more peaceful and let myself be loved and feel love. Yeah. Regardless of all of that. Like the fact that all of that happened, that's when I was like, it would be cruel for me to withhold what I know from women who felt the way that I felt.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful statement. It's true. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it can help a lot of people. Do you want to timeline anything that's not available that you want to help people bring awareness they can come to you for?
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like you have children, you've been through tough relationships.
Like, do you want me to say like the things that I've kind of experienced?
If you want to. Yeah, you get a chance to kind of share your timeline to be like, here's stuff I have insight on.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Yeah.
I had young exposure to sexual behavior. So that was kind of like the first hump that I had to get over. Dealt with a lot of internalized shame from that at a very young age. Got diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder at the age of 12. Okay. The therapist we went to see told my mom it was her fault. So then therapy.
Therapy.
So then my mom took that as the cue of like, I need to leave her alone. So I was left alone with my shame, anxiety. Okay. And then by the time I was 16, I got into my first serious relationship. I lost my virginity to him, and in that was not consensual. Ended up turning into a abusive relationship, lasted for 2.5 years. He cheated on me. Oh, okay. It was really rough. Yeah. And then I decided to leave him. That's when I started doing drugs, drinking. I overdosed and reached a point of psychosis, was hospitalized and put in restraints because I was thrashing and screaming so much. All of this just to avoid the shame. I was spiraling in this shame spiral. Right. And then that's when I found the man who thought I should be shameful and treated me as such. Right. You know what I mean? Yes. So that's sort of, and then within all of the drug and all of that, I also was sexually assaulted multiple times.
Yeah. What an amazing person you are that you've grown past all these things to be a great mom, a great support, one of the most loving people I know, truly understanding. You have a really great grasp on the understanding and how you help so many people. Tell me more about, now that people know your insights, tell me more about, so you said this stuff settled and you had just like a moment of like epiphany.
Yeah.
What are some of those epiphanies that you, or anything that you want to share around that allow you to live your day to day? Like what is it that brings peace to you after all these hard things? Because there's a lot of women out there that, unfortunately, but fortunately, that
Yeah.
you're people for here for them.
Most.
They can identify with this.
Yeah.
And
I have yet to meet a woman who can't. So
yeah. And I always say, like, you know, I love that it doesn't define you. It's describing your past.
Yes.
How do you now take what we've talked about and the things that settled after a YouTube video or Instagram video that I want to see now?
Which one?
I don't know, whatever one you popped that night where you're like, I'm letting go. And all of a sudden, that clarity. That's interesting. It's funny how things will hit you. And settle. Like you talked about The Untethered Soul, and I had people come in and be like, I've read that book already. I'm like, have you read it since we spoke? And
yes,
like,
it hits different.
Everything, yeah. I mean, it's important that you're in the right place to receive.
Yeah.
What is it that makes you so peaceful now and so the way you are? Because you carry such a flow with you every day.
I do know that what happened was I didn't want to hurt anymore. And that was the first thing that really happened for me, was I didn't want to feel what I felt anymore. And I also didn't want to have to do all of the things I had to do to numb myself or keep myself from feeling the way that I felt. And that started out as, you know, like the drugs and the drinking. Mm-hmm. And then once I got pregnant, you can't do that. So then I avoided it by...
Well, you can, but you chose not to.
I chose not to, yes. Good mom.
Super mom.
It's the least I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was when, like, being pregnant, I had to sit with what I was really feeling.
Right,
and
you're forced to be clear and clean. And
yeah, I couldn't avoid my feelings. And I realized, like, how repulsed I was by intimacy and how, like, just really crappy I felt all the time.
Right.
And that's when I was like, wow, like, something really needs to change. And now I think the most clearest epiphany that has occurred for me is that in order to feel good, mm-hmm. the story isn't me. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're not that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not any of this.
But what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a life that did feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so before it was like, I don't like my story. I'm going to try to bend reality to create a story that makes me feel safe with what we were comfortable or whatever.
Yeah.
Happy, successful.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's
none of
not
that.
working.
None of that
so
is working.
well.
Have the relationship, have the kids, have the business, still feel like absolute crap.
Same here.
Yeah.
And that's been, you know, it's so funny when you don't have yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't even matter. And then you do, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's so, and so go deeper into that because you're hitting something there. What else do you got on that?
Yeah. So the clearest epiphany I've had is that in order to move forward, I don't have to carry the pain with me. What occurred for me working with you was realizing that I actually could feel loved and be loved, even though I have been through what I've been through and I've experienced what I've experienced. The internalizing of shame that started when I was so young, I recognized was because I never felt like I had a safe place to express what I had been through. And I thought that I would be judged was like the thing that happened as a child.
That makes sense.
I didn't think that I could tell anybody what had happened.
Yeah,
and
I'm not enough.
Yeah,
and there's something bad here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like just based on the societal structure at the time, and then the way that parents were.
Oh yeah.
It was rough. So talking about things like sex when you're that age is a scary thing, and then so that internalized shame, and then I carried it through, and I just kept on acting on that same shameful feeling, and then being in your presence, feeling that unconditional love of like, it doesn't mean anything. It is what it is. It happened. Right. And there's compassion for the pain and all of that. But the truth at the end of the day was that I was worthy of feeling loved.
Yeah, and you can create it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing I had to do. I didn't have to act a specific way in order to be loved. I didn't have to fight for love. And when I realized that I could put the weapons down and just be who I was, that was where the peace started. And that's when I started to recognize how many places in my life I still had to fight for love. But it also showed me all the places that I don't have to fight for love.
Well said. That's a great moment. Like, why are we fighting for it when it's not? We go where. Yeah. This last year has been an eye opener for me in that situation too, where it's like I'm tired of. I love people, and that's the deal. I want to love and be loved, and I don't need them to love me, but I'm offering that opportunity. And sometimes when they don't want to receive it, or they don't want to give it, it's like I feel like a little bit like there's a part of me that's like, you can just try harder. You know? And then, I have so much love to give. How much do you need? You know, and then I just feel burnt out and tired and go, what am I doing? Like, just go where you are loved and be okay. Because I am okay with rejection now as an adult.
Yes.
Yeah. As a kid, I mean, 40. It was a lot harder, but now it's harder. Yeah. I love that. That was a really great share.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go from here? This is a great chat. I don't
know. What do you want to do?
We can talk about anything. Where did Silly Goose come from? Tell people that. That's cool.
Yeah. So originally my photography business is called Silly Goose Photography. And one of the things that I did while I was in an unfortunate relationship was try to find anything to create money, create freedom, create expression. And photography is something that I've always loved. I've been taking photos of my friends since I was a child, and I would edit them. And it was always something that was just like a fun, cathartic, artistic exercise for me. Yeah,
you're very artistic. Actually, your whole approach with most of life is based off the mind and the eye of an artist.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, everything that I do pretty much is from a place of creation. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, so when I realized that I could monetize this art in a way that was sustainable, because I think that artists have a hard time with that. Yeah. Learning how to monetize my art in a way that was sustainable was a very liberating experience for me. Right. And having kids, you're pretty shackled. And so it was nice because it was flexible. And so I was coming up with the name one day, and when I come up with a business, I'll just like start making an Instagram because I feel inspired, and I'll just start moving through it. And I always called my kids silly geese. Like I would call them silly goosers is really what I would call them.
Yeah, that's great. I like silly goosers.
Yeah. And that's why I call my clients is goosers.
Yeah, I hear you say it all the time, even before your brand came out.
Like, you always. Silly goose. Yeah. Goose in it. Just goose in it. So so I based it off of my children. They're my little silly geese. I consider them like my muses in life.
Yeah, children are for sure.
Yeah. And so that's sort of where they stand, and that's how I came up with Silly Goose. And then it just was a natural flow, because now at this point, similar to you with your black sheep, is I get people sending me bumper stickers, and a girl with a key tag, like a nurse that has like a key tag for her.
Did you get a shirt?
I'm waiting for the shirt.
Super cool. This one.
I did have a client come in for Christmas photos, and his undershirt said Silly Goose with a goose on
Joe,
it.
with this couch, does this look like a 70s casting scene?
I was
This looks like
with the button-up shirt.
It's all the collar and stuff. Anyways.
Okay. So
this was a good issue episode. I mean, it was a good issue. It's an issue.
We have a lot of good issues.
All right.
That's the whole point.
So Silly Goose. I love that they're giving you that stuff. I'm going to start now purposely hunting that stuff. I would have never.
So that's where Silly Goose came from.
That's amazing.
And natural segue, and what I think is funny, and like I personally, I love a good paradox. I love that. And I think bringing the healing of such intense trauma and pain that so many people, but especially women, have been through.
Yes.
And then to put a stamp on it like Silly Goose, I feel like that paradox kind of explains what it feels like, because it's just like,
it's true.
It
captures
heavy,
that childlike wonder where it's like, hey, who were you before all the stuff.
Yeah.
And reconnecting to that, in a way that you're creating for people is really interesting. And I love, helping you grow your business from the outside and seeing what your ideas are and what you're bringing to the table. I think it's super interesting. And I always said, I love when I'm working with a coach and helping them grow in their own way. And then I get jealous of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's so good.
Yeah.
But it's not for me. And your business is very aligned with who you are and who others can be, which I love. That you're helping them really create a future and not so much live in the picture of the past.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why, I call my coaching business Silly Goose Coaching. Yeah. But the coaching program that I would really say is what it's called. It's called The Art of Living. And that really is like when you attach yourself to that silly goose energy, the black sheep energy, the truth of who you are.
You got it.
You get to create from that point.
It's true.
And
you're different or you're unique, just like art, just like black sheep.
But then you let go of the pain. I think a lot of people think that they have to create from pain, and you see that with a lot of artists is they get stuck in their own pain spirals. And it's similar to that with other people. They think they have to take that job because they think you have to work hard to have something. And
or you got to stick to it because you got to you can't fail.
Whatever the story is, the story is pain.
It's true.
But if you can move on from the story and accept peace and create from a space of peace and create life from a space of peace.
Yes.
And that's the art of living is creating life from that space of love and peace.
Yeah.
And that's the
about.
whole concept.
Yeah, I love it. That's well said.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, I don't want to be emotional about how beautiful that was.
Cry, damn it.
I almost did earlier.
Ego. I know. Same. Yeah. Misty. It's because our cycles are synced, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what we said. And so our cycles, our emotional cycles.
All the time.
Where do you want to? Yeah. You silly goose. Where do you want to go from? Where do you want to go from here now? What's next for you?
What's next for me?
Yeah. You need lunch?
Should we order some za?
Yeah. Probably. What time is it?
1.
What are we at? Like an hour in, or are we just under?
Keep going.
Yeah, I want to keep going. Cool. Let's talk about what? Let me think. My nose is itchy. Let's talk about my nose itchy. We talked about how we met.
Yep.
A little bit. Talked about your past. Talked about your kids. Talked about the inspiration of your business. Let's talk subjects. Let's pick subjects up. Yeah, let's talk about how what are you most afraid of? Spiders?
What am I most afraid of?
Spiders.
You know what? My biggest fear is not living the life that I feel like I was supposed to live.
Oh, okay. So you think you're supposed to live a life?
Well, I think that I'm so afraid of living small is what I should say.
That's better. That's better said. It's like, mine is tight spaces.
Okay. watching videos of people underwater in caves.
Oh, stop
horrible.
It. Don't.
Why?
Yeah.
Why would you take a video of that? Keep that sort of horror to yourself.
Panic attack. Yeah. Right there. I'm not afraid of a lot. Like I used to be when I was younger. I was like, I'm afraid of swimming in the ocean because of sharks. Now I'm like, I've done all that stuff. So it's like, I've even been.
You swam in the ocean with sharks?
Not. I swam in the ocean, and then another thing, they can put you in a pool with sharks, and they're just near sharks though. And I got to do that, I think in Mexico with Nicole, and it was like, oh, cool. And so I swam with dolphins, and I swam with all those bucket list things, and you're like, I love when people just decide to tackle life. Be like, I think that's been really a big change in me since my 40s. Is like, I don't care about failing anymore because I just rather. I have the regrets of what I didn't do versus what I do, and I want to do all over the place. And so, I'm going to destroy that bathroom of life. It's so stupid. And so we move into a place of like creation without fear, because I think that's what most people are afraid to do. We're talking about when they create, it's like it won't be good enough.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well,
for sure.
How do we define good enough? Because really all I want to do is participate in life with that, and whatever occurs is what is.
Yeah.
And so a friend of mine sent me something recently. He said, this reminded me of something we talked about. It's like, let good enough be good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, because you can always grow and have fun and be passionate. So many people are afraid to start because they're afraid to fail, but that is self-failure. And then they're afraid if they do something, anything, whether it's like, we have clients come in, they're like, oh, what if I'm not good at being coached? And it's like, I don't know what that means. Like you're talking to me. It's like, this is a conversation. And really all they're having to do is navigate. And it's like the same with creation of anything. Like, I don't worry about, is it right or wrong? It will probably be sucky at first.
For sure.
Because I'm considering taking up guitar, and I was like, wow, I'm really
considering taking up guitar
Yeah,
right
I got
now?
a lot of friends around me that play. I have one.
Okay.
My wife bought me one. It looks really great.
Love that.
Standing up next to my bookshelf.
Yes.
People are like, you play? I was like, watch. Bring it, like a child plays.
I used to do just one chord because it was just 2 strings. It was all I could feel. And then
What's a chord? I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. What is that?
I can't. Are you actually being serious or?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
That's how bad
Like,
I am. I know the concept of them.
It was where you hold down all like multiple strings at once, and then when you strum, it makes a sound.
Yeah, usually it goes cling.
Exactly.
If you don't,
if you're not doing it properly.
Yeah, I'm not. That's my point. Yeah. I'm not. I didn't say I was good at it.
But you have to be bad to get good.
I know, and that's the fun part. I like that part more than I used to.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I spent most of my life just not doing anything. Like I would just stick to kind of things that I would get praise for. I was already good at.
Yeah.
And I would work really hard, but still like for mediocre results because I was afraid that if I tried too hard and then failed,
did you lose
then
that?
I think I would look like a bigger loser because I put more in. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whereas
so
now
the secret is go all in as hard as you can and look like an idiot, and then you have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my 40s. That's pretty much sums up everything I was talking about. Yeah, good job, coach. I think that's the way to do it.
It is.
Like, what are you afraid of?
No, that is the way. And that's.
I'm afraid what people will say. The people that aren't doing anything, or the people. I've never been judged by anyone who's working. Like if I went to, Joe's off camera. He plays guitar. He plays bass. He's really great. He's in a band. Look at all the look right there. Boom.
Oh yeah, look at you go.
He's got a lot of instruments.
Cool guy.
And so he is a cool guy. And so, but if he saw me working at it, I mean, he would respect the effort because he knows how hard it is to do. He did it.
Absolutely.
And so it's only people that will judge you will be people that are like, that don't do anything with that kind of, and there's a lot of people that won't engage. So, but I really wish I had more people. Like, I hope we get a whole bunch of hate comments because
we need to be more destructive with our words so we get hate comments.
Yeah, exactly. Because they say, I always heard haters love us in a special way, which I think is true. And they're like free consultants.
So true.
So they're willing to give their services.
Reflecting back all of the parts of yourself that you hate. Oh, great. I have so much to heal now.
I did a talk at a rainbow camp once that kind of went south. I think I told you the story. And it was like, they were like, you come here with, as a cisgender with your soccer mom memes. And I was like, and out of all the things they said, I just remember when they said soccer mom memes, I'm like, oh,
that's deep.
I made this presentation myself.
It wasn't memes at all.
And so I went home. It was. Okay. But I put it together on a PowerPoint. And so
Why do teenagers cut the deepest, though?
But they were right. I went home. I'm like, I'm doing this professionally. And I completely cleaned up my act. I wish, if you're watching, thank you for ripping on me.
Yes, there's accountability and love.
Yeah. Yes. One of the wisest things you've ever told me. That's on record.
There it is.
That's brilliant. Yeah. And so
That's hilarious.
So that I sometimes people, when you read never read the comments, but that's okay.
Yeah,
we're so popular.
I'm not out there enough yet to get. I feel like a lot of the negative comments that I probably get are just things that I can't see. You know what I mean? I think that's
I hear people talk trash to you all the time. They're like, Mick is too cool. She's too nice. She's too good of a mom. Yeah.
No, I think I'm fortunate to have mostly people that speak very kindly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So. People speak poorly to me, but only to you.
Yeah.
I see you. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky, man. I got great people in my life too. Kingston. I was noticing yesterday though, because remember I thought about leaving Kingston for a while.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out if it was me. It was like a relationship. It was very similar to a relationship. Like maybe if I change, and then I realized no. And I was like Costco the other day, right after a massage, and well, that's a weird thing to do. Go to Costco right after a massage, and I just remember walking in going, "Wow, Kingston's so angry." It's like I also noticed that I feel like I'm in a video game at Costco because we're relatively social humans, and I've done a job that's pretty outwards facing at every part of my time in Kingston for over 15 years. Yeah. And it's like I barely ever bump into anyone I know at Costco. I'm like, who are you people?
Yeah, me too. Where are you coming from?
NPCs. All non-player characters in a video game. Like, Costco needs to get some. And then you say that, and then person's like, "Hi, Morgan." I'm like, "Oh, Matrix made you show up."
Agent.
Yeah, he's an agent. Yeah, exactly. But like, I didn't know what it was until a friend of mine moved back to town. He was like, he was in Costa Rica, and he's like, "There's a lack of life."
Yes.
In people's face in Kingston. It's like everyone's miserable. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of great people. I love, but I do. When I realize what it is, I'm so happy with. In Newburgh, I'm in the Newburgh community right now, and the people here are freaking phenomenal. And it's small town, and they really care about people. I got the kind of friends on a bad snowstorm, they'll show up and just plow my driveway without calling me. Thank you, Joe.
That's a good friend.
Or let me come over into their podcast studio and talk in the afternoon. But yeah, there's wonderful people, but I just find there's a general, frustration with people. And I think Kingston's always tried to keep up with whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like it's a town that thinks it's a city trying to move fast and keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, I think that for the longest time, I think that I kind of had like a clouded vision about Kingston because I was always very like, whatever, I'm a happy-go-lucky, like everybody's great. And then I left Kingston. And I went and lived in Owen Sound, which is like a dark place to live. It's a pretty sad place to live. There's a lot of beautiful things about it,
of course,
but it's a sadder city in Canada. But coming back and seeing people, I was just like, "Are you there?" Like it just felt like, you know what I mean? You're just
there's a lot of people walking through life.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we were talking about, before we came on camera about seeing someone that's living on the streets and thinking like, man, what happened to their lives?
Going downtown is,
I'm asking that all the time. Like, what happened in your life that, not judgmentally, I just think.
Yeah, you have to imagine the story. Like,
yeah, people have stories.
Yeah.
There's a great magic show I don't know if we watched together, In and of Itself.
Yes.
Where he talks about he talks about the gold brick.
Yeah.
That was thrown through his room. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's a beautiful six tricks. Anyways, but like I love that he says like it's just a brick, even though he tells the story how it flew through his window. And
that's
said
right.
that trashy things to his mom for being gay, and the real experience he shared. And I just love that he's like, it's just a brick, and it is just a brick, but it's the metaphor of like when you walk by people and don't know their story, it's just a brick.
Yeah.
Until you know their story, and then all these people. And I just find like I would love to encourage Kingston to have more of a community-based mindset where it's not just community activities, because Kingston has lots to do. It's run well, but in that way. But the thing is like, if we actually cared about our community, and started to realize that you're walking by people that have stories.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of selfishness in Kingston, and I think that there's almost like a degree of that, like the competitive keeping up with the Joneses thing, where it's like almost everybody has walls up because they don't want people to know the story. And so it's less about,
they're afraid to be,
it's less about reaching out to find out other people's stories, because they'll listen to other people's stories. You hear people trauma dump constantly.
That's true online and everything that people share stories.
But it's like to really become vulnerable with the story is, I think, what's missing.
I agree. Social media blocks that. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah,
like,
so much lost connection.
True. Yeah, it's true. And people think if they're vulnerable, they're going to be rejected, especially in a place that's based in like kind of a judgment.
Or like if they are rejected, it'll hurt more.
Right. Rather than opening up and saying that people will open, it will create community.
It creates openness.
And they see their humanness in each other.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Kingston has an opportunity to grow. Also, the parking sucks.
Yeah, what the hell? The 2-hour max downtown kills me.
I know, especially when I have to park a half hour away from my car to get where I'm going. Now they're working on it.
Are they?
So good. I don't know. So good. So far, we pissed off most Kingston and the city of Kingston.
Okay, good. Who else do we want to piss off?
We got names. It'd be like Eminem. You don't want to show up on my podcast. Yeah, I'm really glad you came in. I think that watching you cultivate the art piece of people's lives and seeing how you navigate things when I come to you and be like, with something, and how you show up, even so authentically, because you don't hide when you have a day of struggle. You respect emotions, but you also really see things clearly, that we are not our thinking, and that you can show up so much more. And the fact that you've been so healed in your journey. And it's been crazy to witness your transformation, because we're on the outside looking in when things were going hard for you.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, what do you do for a friend who's going through that? And then when you came to the other side and we got a chance to connect again, it was the light in your eyes is amazing, and seeing what you have as potential as a person. I don't think you have anything to fear at all of what you're bringing to the table, because every time we talk, I'm very lucky to coach coaches sometimes, because they say things, I'm like, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that down, And we have such a great group of people. So if there are coaches out there that are looking for more support, we actually run a great WhatsApp group with a bunch of great coaches. It is where there's like a lot of people who are like-minded and understand. And if you're not like-minded and you want to understand how we've been so successful at helping people overcome their past, you should reach out to us.
Yes, definitely.
Especially too. How do people get in touch with you now?
I have a website.
Yes, you do.
sillygoosesociety.ca. That's society because of both the businesses that exist under it.
Makes sense,
It's not a cult, unless you want it to be.
Yeah. Cool. A goose cult. What does that even mean?
Drink the goose poop.
I was thinking maybe Grey Goose vodka. That would be like probably more fun for some people than poop. But
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know what your cult's into.
It's been a long time. I see more goose poop than Grey Goose vodka lately in my life.
That's true.
So I think
I see more goose poop. Goose.
Whatever gets you going, that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's my website. I'm also on Instagram, sillygoose.coaching.
Yes.
And I'm on Facebook, Silly Goose Coaching, or Mikhala Kotak.
And you can reach me through Black Sheep Thinking if you lose that stuff or you can't get through, because Mick and I are close friends and I can connect you.
Hell yeah.
I'll give you her cell number. You can send her weird texts.
Weird pictures. Send me memes. That's my love language.
Memes are
yeah.
Did you get a lot of people sending you stuff?
Silly Goose
like
stuff?
just sending, like, what do people send you the most of that you love, and what do they send you the most of that you wish they'd stop doing?
I don't really get stuff that I don't like.
I do. I get stuff all the time. Other people stop sending me, so I'm really asking you for me.
Sometimes I'll get stuff that's like about popular culture that I just don't really care about. So like things about like new artists dropping music that I'm like, I don't like that artist, or those sorts of things. People like trying to relate on that level where I'm like, I don't like that artist, but thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, if they're my friends, they send it to me through Spotify so I can listen to two commercials and then I'll fast forward it to see what it's about.
I literally will hear a song on Spotify, and then if I want to send it to you, I'm like, okay, I'll have to go onto YouTube, find the right video, link it.
So much work.
It's the amount of effort that
Thanks
I'm
for the
going
homework.
into.
You really care about me. In today's world, it should be like, it should be holographic video I get to watch. I shouldn't have to. Okay, let me search what they're saying. Oh, that was okay. Yeah, I get that. I get people send me magic sometimes. Like they think I've never seen it before. Like 25 years of my life.
Yeah,
like, look at this trick.
That's when people send me a meme. Like if it's somebody who's not a meme person, and they send me a meme, I'm like, I saw it 6 years ago. Like,
it's
I don't know
so,
why
that's the, you know what? That's an app where there's like a database. Like I'm going to send this to Mick, and I get to look through and be like, oh, don't send this to her. She's seen similar material.
Some of the stuff you send me, I'm like, I saw this a month ago.
I figured, but you didn't watch it with me. That's okay. Sometimes it comes full circle. Sometimes I lose something, and then someone said to me, like, "Oh, thank God you sent that." I see it.
I like, and the stuff you send is stuff that's good to watch again.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad you got to the end of the internet, though. A lot of people are still working on it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I needed that.
Good.
All right, with that validation,
got a couple dopamine hits. Yeah. I'm good for the day. I'm gonna crash tomorrow, so I'm gonna call you though. Okay.
Yeah, reach out. Yeah, thank you again. Thanks for sharing your story. If there's nothing else, then we'll see you next time on a special episode that will probably be 3 hours long, where we reconnect with another person that's in the coaching world. Thank you for, this is not the sign up I want.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. You have so much editing to do on this one. Anyways, jokes aside, thank you for coming in. We really enjoyed having Mick. Thank you again. We love you. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.